Welcome to our resume writing tips session. This one is designed for graduate students and alumni with a little bit of experience, and it's really designed to assist the bulk of the grad students and alumni that we work with. So it may not apply to you, but it probably applies to you. The first section on your resume will be your contact information up at the top. And by now you should have a LinkedIn account, so you will include a link to your LinkedIn up there. And then you'll include all of your additional contact information right above your summary. Now, you'll see that on this example, we use the word professional summary. If you have gone directly from your bachelor's degree right on to your master's degree and you have not yet worked in your field, you will not use the word professional summary. A professional summary means you've worked a little bit in that field already, okay? So you can use the word summary or highlights of qualifications, but if you use the phrase professional summary, that assumes you've been a professional in your field for a little bit, okay? So now within that summary, you want to ask yourself, what are my strongest selling points? And I'm going to include those in there. So for example, if you're going for a job where you know you're going to have to be giving a lot of presentations and you've had a chance to give presentations in your prior or current work experience, you want to be sure to include that in this summary section. So look at the types of positions you're applying to and then do your best to target this summary to fit those types of positions. Avoid listing a bunch of things in there that might have been relevant to jobs you held maybe in a prior career, but that are not really related to the line of work you're going into now. So for example, if you're a seasoned tax preparer and you're going into the field of counseling, you don't need to highlight the fact that you're a seasoned tax preparer. Okay, so just highlight the skills that you do have that are relevant to the line of work you're seeking. The next section will be your education section, and that's where you're going to list your master's degree will go on the top. And remember, there's no S on the end of the word master. And then you'll list your bachelor's degree underneath it. And again, there's no S on the end of the word bachelor. So in your degree, it's probably going to be called a Master of Arts or a Master of Science. And then you'll list Lewis University, Romeoville, Illinois. And then over on the right-hand side, you're going to tell the employer when you're going to have that graduate degree in hand. And that helps them to see how far along in your program you are. If your GPA is a 3.0 or higher for your master's degree or your bachelor's degree, you'll be sure to include that on your resume. Some people, some majors, I should say, at the graduate level do have a thesis or a project of some sort, a capstone project. If your program has that, you will include it. And the same holds true for a concentration. If your program holds concentrations or tracks, you will list that in this section here. If you have completed an associate's degree from a junior college, you will list that underneath your bachelor's degree. The next section will be your relevant experience section. Now, this is geared for people who, again, this is designed for experienced people. So we may have a relevant experience section, and then you'll see next will be the additional experience section. But some of you who are very seasoned professionals may only have a relevant experience section. In the relevant experience section, if you've had any kind of a practicum or internship, as you see here, you'll want to include that in there. This would be at the graduate level. In some professions, some of your majors will call it something different. They might call it some type of a clinical experience, or they might call it a field experience. So keep in mind that you might need to vary the wording there depending on what major you're in. So essentially, relevant experience is exactly what it says there. These are all the things that are related to the new career direction that you're going in. If you've been in the field for a while, you'll have a section for this. Now, if you have gone directly from your bachelor's degree onto your master's degree, and you are indeed a graduate student, it doesn't mean that you've worked in your field. So if you have not yet worked in your field, you will not use the term relevant experience. You'll just use the term experience for this section. Remember to use bullets. Employers do not want to have to read long paragraphs describing what you've done. You're going to list your strongest selling points in your bullets. And remember to be descriptive. So as you write your bullets, you want to think about what is it that you have to offer in your new job. And that's what you really want to highlight in this section. Remember to start all of your bullets with action verbs. The next section will be your additional experience section. So these might be other jobs that you've held that were outside of your field. And now, if you've spent a number of years in your field, you do not need this section, okay? So you would not need to include your lifeguarding job if you've already been working for a considerable amount of time in this field. But we do have some graduate students that have gone right on or maybe have only worked for 1 year, and so they need to show that they have held other jobs throughout their undergraduate years. These sections are optional. If you have them, include them, and feel free to modify the headings for these sections. So you'll see here, this one listed is called Leadership Activities / Memberships and Volunteer Work. So if you don't have any volunteer work, you won't include that in the heading. If you've not taken on any type of a leadership role, you will not include that word in this heading. If you have taken on a leadership role, employers love to see that. So make sure you use the word leadership in this heading. Employers like to see students who've not only participated in an organization, but they also like to see somebody that's really stepped up and maybe served as in an officer capacity, like a president, a vice president, treasurer, secretary, chair, especially at the graduate level. It's nice to show that you've done that. If not, it's not the end of the world, but if you have done that, make sure that you showcase it on here. In this section, you will also include any volunteer experience that you have, and then any activities that you're a part of. So these activities might be something on campus that you participated in, or they might be things you participate in your community at home. This section can also include any professional associations that you are a member of that pertain to your particular field. If you are changing careers and you're leaving maybe a career as an accountant and you're going into a career as a counselor, you would not need to include your professional memberships in any accounting related associations. So make sure the ones you list there in terms of professional associations are indeed related to your profession. And then honors and awards, those would include things that you've earned at your undergraduate institution. It may be the dean's list. It may have been something called a president's roll of honor. Might have been at your junior college. Maybe you received some kind of an academic or an athletic scholarship. You might have received some kind of an honor or an award in your workplace. You can include that here as well. The final section will be your languages and computer skills section. We only use the word languages if you have a language to list in there. Languages, we say if we're fluent or semi-fluent. Semi-fluent means you're about halfway there. You can get your message across, but your grammar may not be perfect. And then fluent, of course, means you can speak it as a native. And keep in mind that if you do use the word fluent in here, that the employer that's interviewing you may start to interview you in that language. So do not use the word fluent if you are not truly fluent in that language. We'll also include your basic computer skills, as well as any computer skills that are unique to, or I should say computer software that's unique to your major. And our computer skills are typically listed as proficient in and then familiar with for the ones you're not as knowledgeable in. And then we have some other headings that I've not mentioned here, and those would include things like special licenses or certifications, lab skills, flight hours, military history, publications, presentations, research experience, and then professional development if you've attended conferences or seminars in your field. And then last, I just want to invite you, if you do have any additional questions, always feel free to reach out to us. You can schedule an appointment with us through your Handshake account, or you can reach out to us through the contact information listed at the bottom of this slide.